What's going on, everyone? Falcone here, live from Helping Our Music Evolve in East Nashville, Tennessee, and welcome to Falcone Fridays. How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing fine. You want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your song here?
Yeah, I'm Madeline Besson, and this song is called Rise, and it's a song I wrote last year and recorded last year, and about, coming out from the darkness and having hope that we can get back up on our feet and see some light,
Yeah, I think everyone needs a little bit of that, or a friendly reminder,
right?
That it's a brighter day is on its way.
Yeah.
If today is a dark one.
Yeah.
So it's very cool. Where'd you record this?
I recorded it with producer Brett Ryan Stewart in his studio, Wirebird Productions.
Cool. Now here in town?
Yeah. In Nashville.
Nice. Looking for my shaker cup because I was just drinking some water. Don't forget your pre-workout supplements. They're really fun to dial in your focus. Anyway, it's a really good song. I like it.
Thank you.
So today we got something a little different. I'm kind of working with a mix session already, and so things are kind of where they need to be. Let's see if I remember how to do this. I can figure out which keystroke this is. Pro Tools people, do you know how to switch it from this? Is it you click on it, right click? Come on, where's Nathan? He was just here. If anyone's out there on the stream, do you know how to not make it this fader mode? I know it's a clicker. See how the faders are on there? Let's see. You see how these are like, that's probably not what I want to do. See how they're little faders? There's a way to switch it back to it being not looking like a fader. I totally forget, y'all. But this is a good thing to know because, see, now you can get little mini faders on here, or you can just get it to not have this gigantic view. And I totally forget how to do that. I know it's one keystroke that I'm not doing yet. Let's see. These two, no. These two, no. These two, no. These three. Bear claw? No. Nathan likes the old bear claw. Well, I'm trying here. Anyway, if anyone on the stream knows how to do that, give us a shout, and we'll give you a shout out for letting us know that. I should know that, but I don't. Off the top of my head. So, like I was saying, there's a set. It's already kind of set up. They got some EQ and things going already, which is nice to have because that means there's a nice painted picture already for us to kind of start with. So let's see what we can kind of dial in the vocal a little bit because the rhythm section is pretty good. And I'll beef up the drums and things like that as we go here, but let's listen to this vocal here.
In the dark, got a taste for nothing. A hole in my stomach, booze and arms and legs.
So I like to even out my vocal a little bit using clip gain.
Can I lay it down?
Or I might actually do it in reverse because the section's a little hot, so.
And no love is all around. Can I dare open legs? No more strength. No love is all around. No love is all around. Can I dare open the door?
I'll just separate the region by selecting and hitting Command E. turn down the click gain a little bit.
Rolling deep in the dark, got a taste for nothing. To look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love.
So it seems like it was tracked with some compression on it. So how do you get rid of that, Banks? View. Expand sends. There you go. I want none. Hey, there we go. There is a shortcut too by like just clicking on it somehow. So shout out to Nathan Adam for the shortcuts. If he's ever watching this, he'll reply, I'm sure. So it was kind of tracked with some stuff on it. So let's see. This plugin had on it. Little roll off, which is nice.
To look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise.
Let's see if it can benefit from a little extra compression just to control a few things. But I might want to just do this dynamically with a. So they had a C4 on it. So let's take a look at that.
To look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in words. To look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise.
So I'll solo isolate a frequency brand.
I'm gonna rise.
Let me take some of this 1200 out.
To look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love.
I can maybe control this S a little bit.
Look at my fears, dig up. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in words. To look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart.
See what else we can do.
To look
Maybe down
at
here.
my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. To look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise.
So maybe I'll make this a little wider of a cue.
To look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna
So I'll just leave that control the problems, and then I'm going to add a EQ to kind of get this high mid thing happening. Let's see what we could do. I sometimes like what this sounds like on vocals around 8K.
To look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only to look
good.
at my fears, dig up
Let me go
my
to
buried
the
anger
SSL
and
channel now.
rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my
Probably can
my
benefit from a
buried
little.
anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. Up my
And then I usually like to cut with, there's a little mid-rangey thing. I like how this EQ cuts.
Up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. Up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. Up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna.
So I kind of hear a little something in there, but let's see if I can get it with
In the medium.
yeah, in the mid-range area.
Yeah.
So I can see if
Up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise.
it's just
Rise. Rise. I'm 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 rise.
oh, in the 500.
I'm rise. 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 I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart.
Maybe I can
I'm
add.
gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only.
See what that sounds like in
I'm
context.
gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. Rolling deep in the dark. Got a taste for nothing. A hole in my stomach. Bruising arms and legs. no more strength for fighting. Too many lost wars, can I lay it down? And no love is all around, can I dare open the doors to look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? I'm gonna rise, I'm gonna rise, I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. It's easier to go.
Yeah, that there's a different presence to
Can
the
stay
the voice
same.
now.
Yeah.
Not worry, I should let go of
So now I'm going to
shame
start
and
muting
now
some
I
stuff.
see my worth. Can I get respect and live with tenderness? Can I show my tears and dare open the doors to let go of my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? Gonna rise, I'm gonna rise, I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. Too many lost wars.
All right, I kind of like where that's sitting. I'm going to do a few more things here. I'm going to add a little effects bus real fast and see what's that. Well, it's like I'm just going to set up a kind of a delay effect that adds kind of magic to it, I guess. It's magic. But it really is just like super small micro delays. Let's see here. I'm just gonna go like this. Just go this. No. And then I want to see my second page of. I'm gonna send. To bus 2728.
Rolling deep in the dark, got a taste for nothing. A hole in my stomach,
Lead vocal.
losing arms and legs, no more strength for fighting. Too many lost wars, can I lay it down? And no love is all around, can I dare open the doors
like it with the voice
to
today.
look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise? Rolling deep in the dark, got a taste for nothing. A hole in my stomach, losing arms and legs, no more strength for fighting.
Well, now that you say that, let's put it on the bass, huh?
Dark, got a taste for nothing.
Show you what that does.
Hole in my stomach.
Don't underestimate the power of delay on bass. Everyone's gonna be like, "What? Delay on bass?"
Rolling deep in the dark, got a taste for nothing. A hole in my stomach,
I'm gonna mute this.
losing arms and legs, no more.
Wait, where was that? That should go to this vocal bus here. So let me send this over to the vocal bus. Box bus.
Rolling deep in.
Get some cool overtones that happen. And then let's see if I can. Is there a plugin that does this on this machine? Sound field. I don't think this is on this computer, is it? No. Womp womp. Well, I just want a basic stereo imaging plugin that allows me to make the bass somewhat mono. And I don't think, yeah, that's what I thought. Wait, can I do it with this? With frequency? No, this won't let me do it. We just don't have the isotope plugins on here, I don't think. Let's see. Does this one work? Nope. I can say demo. But it's gonna like blank out on me every few seconds. See that shape? That's beautiful. It's a heart. Literally, see it? See, that's what it's gonna do on me. But I want to do this. Womp. Hear the difference? So we won't worry about that right now. And what I usually do is I wouldn't send this super. This is like someone else knows the trick that I know, which is they separated their bass into two different bass tracks, and one is just the sub. So you can see here that they have everything rolled off under 136. And then boost to bottom, so it's just the sub information that's on its separate track, so we can get a little more low end out of the bass. And I wouldn't usually send that there, but if I did, then I would make like everything under 60 hertz mono, so like our sub would be mono, and that wouldn't cause issues when played back in mono. So there's the bass and
taste for nothing, a hole in my stomach, losing arms and legs.
See, I want the vocal to stay right there. So let's see what I can do here.
Too many lost wars, can I lay it down? And no love is all around. Can I dare open the doors to look at my fears? Dig up.
They had this vocal rider on here, which is a good idea, but I'm going to do a little something a little different. I'm going to send a send from the bus. Where am I at now? Instrument master main bus here. And I'm going to send it to 29. And I'm going to make the sidechain input on this 29. All right. So what this is going to do, it's sending the whole entire track. Actually, I can just do it. Well, I want the drums too, but let's see. Where's the instrument bus that I created? Right here. So let's do it from the instrument bus. So this will say, okay, this is the sidechain input to this plugin now. So instead of it looking at itself on this vocal track, it's now referencing the instrument bus, basically. So all the instruments. So by how I set my threshold here, and these two knobs right here, which are vocal and music, I can get it to live on top of the music at all times, dynamically with the music. So it'll turn it up and down. Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? And I do this a lot on a lot of tracks. So, which is it's way too much to get into when we only have an hour. But I can touch on the theory behind what this does and how to use sign chaining to kind of dynamically control your music instead of being destructive with EQ and compression. So I side chain everything to everything basically. So if I have two parts that are playing at the same time, but maybe different rhythms, I'll side chain them to each other. So, and especially when they're in different timbres or frequency ranges. So, if one's playing a low mid melody and the other's playing a high mid melody, but they both share that same information or that same frequency range, I'll say, okay, in the frequency range, say we have plug-in or track one or guitar and an acoustic guitar, right? An electric guitar and acoustic guitar. So I'll say I'll send a send from the electric guitar to the acoustic guitar, and wherever that the main frequency range of the acoustic guitar is playing, or I'm sorry, the electric guitar is playing, I will attenuate that in the acoustic guitar or find that frequency range and just cut it. Not even cut it. I would use this F6 plugin that also has a sidechain input, right? And then you can select your frequency band and hit external as your sidechain source. And then if the guitar is in the low mids is where most of the information is, I can just select this band, turn it to external, and then set my attack, release, and threshold so I can get that electric guitar to cut through when the acoustic guitar is playing, and then vice versa. I'll send a sidechain from the acoustic guitar to one on the electric guitar, so maybe it's the high string or the pick noise that we want, so I can attenuate it in the electric guitar. But it's dynamically, so it's only going to attenuate it when they're both playing at the same time. So you don't have to control, you don't have to lose all the dynamic and all the frequency and the sharpness or the presence of either of them. They just they work with each other to kind of like balance it out. So, and we're blessed to have really nice monitors here, and I have really nice ones at home, and that's why I preach like monitors are your most important thing next to your room. But if you have a shitty room, the least you can do is have good monitors, right? Because shitty monitors in a shitty room you're just guessing at that point, right? But with really good monitors, you can hear these changes, and you're going to realize you don't have to do as much when you have good monitors, because you can make the decision that you're going to make off jump, or like the first thing you hear is usually right because you have accurate monitors. So you don't have to take a giant cut or a giant boost out of something. You can make smaller, subtle changes, and then use your gain structure to elevate level. So how I like to approach it is I set my gain structure the right way, meaning negative dBFS is a good thing. That's 0 VU on a meter, right? So I have all my gears calibrated to negative 18 dBFS, so that I know when it's hitting 0, it's at a certain point level wise. So I try to get all my gain structure to sit at that point, so I know that I have enough headroom once everything gets summed together. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that one. What was I saying? I get in deep about this,
Yeah, no, but it's really interesting.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry.
no, it's
Now I remember. So when I get my gain structure right, I know I can drive my processing a certain way. So instead of like using a compressor to turn something down, I use input gain to turn level up into a compressor, that has a smaller ratio. So instead of using a ratio of like 4-1 or something, or 8-1, whatever, to get your peak levels down, I choose to set my gain structure a certain way and use a small ratio like 1.5, 1.6 to 1, like a mastering engineer would, and then drive level into it, allowing that compressor to just touch the tops, still reserving or keeping my dynamics. And because my gain structure is a certain way, I'm only driving things in and it's only pushing it down a little. That makes sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So
Yeah, it's the space. How to use the space.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it, and then we're gonna do I think what do we call it? Those nights that we do, those, yeah, seminar. Is it a seminar thing? Listen and learn. Yeah, yeah. Is that what I'm gonna do, or am I gonna do? No, they asked me. They asked me to do like come up with a title or whatever of uh like a 2 hour thing that we're gonna do here. Producer in residence or something. Is that it? Mixer in residence. Okay, yeah. So that's what I'm gonna do. Um, so if you remember, we might live stream it too, or and kind of make it a special edition of Falcone Friday. But what I'm going to be teaching is basically that. Um, so it's like I'm going to call it the science and the science behind mixing, how to make your track stand out in the 21st century. I thought that had a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
Right? That's fancy, right? Sign you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to be explaining that. I'm going to show you a track that I use a lot of these techniques on, and I have this sheet here that I'll show you that I've created, and this is basically how I've trained my ear to hear all these numbers. So it's like based off of tempo, I know, all my different millisecond breakdowns based on beat. So this is like 111. So when I'm going to be making a course, and you can sign up for free and give me your email and I'll send you this. Hey, promotion. See what I'm doing there? So tempo, for example, tempo is 111, and then I get all these values, right? I get a dotted note value, triple value, and these numbers necessarily don't really matter as much. But if you wanted like a quarter note, like we all know, if it's 120, that's a 500 millisecond is a quarter note, right? So this can be a delay chart, so you'll know if you want a quarter note delay, it's 500 milliseconds at 120. So if we're at 111, we know that's 554, right? But then the next level to that becomes your attack and release times, right? So if you know this is the tempo and you can look at these values and you can say, okay, this is a slower attack versus this is a faster attack. But then it gets a level deeper. So then you can look at frequency to millisecond charts to say, okay, how many milliseconds is an 80 hertz sine wave, right? Or an 80 hertz is 12.5 milliseconds, right? So then you can say, okay, if my song is in the key of E and, the fundamental frequency is 41, 82, 165, you can look at these frequency ranges and be like, okay, so if I want to grab 80 hertz or around 82, 12.5 millisecond time is going to be grabbing it on its first cycle or its complete cycle, right? Same thing with 40 hertz. It's going to be a 25 milliseconds cycle. So then you can say, okay, if I want the whole entire frequency spectrum to pass through, that's including 20 hertz, right? Then you can set an attack time of 50 milliseconds, and the whole cycle of the whole entire frequency spectrum that we can hear will go through, at least the lowest of the biggest waveform, right? So you can use these to your advantages on master buses and all your other drum buses, but then you're going to start to hear what 16 milliseconds sounds like versus 8 milliseconds. What a compressor sounds like when you set these times that way. And then another step further, then because we have now dynamic EQs, we have 6 independent bands all with an attack and release time. So if I'm down here at 45 hertz, we just learned, right, that a 40 millisecond or 40 hertz tone has a 25 millisecond. So if we want to grab that, we know we can set it at 25 or maybe a little more, and then you can start to hear how it starts to grab it at a certain point, and that's where you can start adding punch to things. So if you wanted 45 to bang a little harder, you can, by setting your attack a certain way, you can get it to hit a certain way within that trough or the peak of the waveform. You can kind of grab it faster, or if you want to really not have it be at all and you want it to kind of limit it, hit it faster, then you set a faster attack time, but still within the tempo of your song, right? So you can get it to musically work with the song. And then you can say, if you wanted to hold, like, for example, if you had one note in a bass guitar that was too much, right? You can figure out what frequency that is and then set an attack and release time so that it will either hold on till the next note happens, or it can release before it happens, depending on what feel you kind of want to create. I did make this. I mean, I didn't create. This is all knowledge that you can pull off the internet, but I'm using it. This is my philosophy. Like, and then I go a step further with the golden ratio, right? So, I mean, this is super geek shit right here, because this is in photography, this is in architecture, it's in everything, right? In nature, right? So if totally, like, the ratio between like your palm and your fingers is the golden ratio. So it is everywhere. So I kind of, this is a little unique to me. So this is kind of how I've kind of approached it and thinking, and again, it's all about my ear, that I've trained my ear so much to hear these things in the decision that I'm making based off of these things. But like, so if I had, so what did I have here? This is A6, and then there's another value of, what was it? D6, right? So if you have two notes or you have two octaves, right? So if this was like, say this was 880, right? This one is? Hell yeah. No, this works even better to do that. So now she said 432. So that is when you tune all your instruments to 432, you're in mathematical sequence with the Fibonacci sequence, which is mathematically harmonious with the universe. So what was the Beatles song? Is it Imagine, or is it what's the song with people are gonna hate me for this one? The one that has love in it. What Beatles song has love in it? Oh man, it's one of their popular songs. But they did that a lot, and people don't know why that these songs resonate. But
well, it's, because we're tuned to that frequency.
We are tuned naturally, right? And because we're 70% water, and then
so we're much more responsive to that frequency.
Right? So depending, on your key and everything, you can get things to feel a certain way. And I'm a big believer in that. Music heals, and like
that's why I chose to. I play in 430.
Absolutely, yeah. There's like certain healing frequencies that you can heal your body. Yeah, 528 for the heart. Yeah. There's there's so many, and if we go down to like 5 hertz, we can make you poop yourself.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, there's something for
that's
everything,
always that's always the joke. I need a 48-inch subwoofer so you can poop. But yeah, so that's so I'm always trying to tune my music So I feel something.
Right.
So if I can feel something, chances are someone else is going to feel something. So the calculator is, this is how I kind of approach it. So I'll take 2 octaves, right? And then I'll find the golden ratio between the 2 frequencies, right? In both directions, right? Because you can go
Right.
from one number lower to high and high to low, and then there'll be 2 points. So I'll from one to one, another is 180 or 988, and the other would be 947, and then the difference would be the middle of those 2 frequencies ends up being 967. Now, you can do this exact, or you can just kind of feel. So what I believe happens is you are mathematically choosing the most extreme frequency between 2 octaves. Therefore, if you cut in that area, those 2 frequencies will then sound more apparent because I'm taking out something in between them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not just guessing of what is in between that. I'm mathematically choosing the frequency that would, based off of math. Now, it doesn't always necessarily have to be that, but once you start to use a technique like this and you start to hear what it sounds like
Yeah.
and what it feels like on you, then you can kind of create a sound for yourself, if you will.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's kind of my approach to this. So back to the vocal rider. So yep, I just sent a send here. That's the sidechain input. So let's see.
Rolling deep in the dark, gotta take.
Well, there's only the bass guitar, so let's go over here.
I'm gonna rise.
So you'll see this little green light here.
I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. It's easier to go.
So I want to adjust this so I get minimum movement in the
The
vocal.
ashes, I'm gonna rise.
So let me go back here and just on my lead here.
Rolling deep in the dark.
I think there should be some pianos playing too, so let's put those back on.
Rolling deep in the dark. Got a taste for nothing.
And this vocal knob will say how much sensitivity we select via the threshold.
Rolling deep in the dark.
Is the vocal more sensitive or less sensitive? So do we want to say we want this to move more dynamically or less dynamically with the incoming signal?
Rolling deep in the dark. Got a taste for nothing.
See how it just kind of stays up
A
there
hole in my stomach, bruising arms and legs.
and it doesn't move much here?
No more strength for fighting. Too many lost wars. Can I lay it down? And no love is all around. Can I dare open the doors to look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. It's easier to go where I can stay the same, not worry I should let go of shame.
So I might set this to so this is it, and this is where the argument is. I mean, does it take longer to set this thing or just ride the vocal? You know what I mean? So these are just cool things that tools that you can use. Because I mean, you could put this. I've used this a lot on a kick drum. If you can you don't want it to go over a certain you can set a really small range here so it stays in this little box. So let's see if we can try to get it a little bit better here.
Rolling deep in the dark.
So that's good. So I don't want it to go above that. I just want to really turn it down. And then you can use your output gain to kind of adjust overall level.
Rolling deep in the dark. Got a taste for nothing. A hole in my stomach. Losing arms and legs. No more strength for fighting.
So let me go back there.
Arms and legs. No more strength for fighting.
See if fast will make it better.
Legs. No more strength for fighting. Too many lost wars. Can I lay it down? And no love is all around. Can I dare open the doors to look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. It's easier to go.
So let's see what we can do.
Look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise.
See if I can control a little bit with a compressor.
And no love is all around. Can I dare open the doors to look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my
Let's turn this up a little bit. See what we get.
and no love is all around. Can I dare open the doors to look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart.
So now we got to sound a little bit
I'm
better.
gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart.
Now you can see the vocal writer's bringing it up right there.
I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart.
I might turn this down a little bit.
I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart.
Bring this down a little bit.
I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. It's easier to go.
Yeah, it makes it much more balanced.
Yeah.
Can stay the same. Not worry, I should let go of shame and blame so I can see my worth. Can I get respect and live with tenderness? Can I show my tears and dare open the doors to let go of my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? Gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. Oh,
right, let's see what else we can do.
Rolling deep in the dark, got a taste for nothing. A hole in my stomach, losing arms and legs. No more strength for fighting.
All right, let's see. Do we have a?
Too many lost wars. Can I lay it down?
We had a reverb set.
And no love is all around. Can I dare open the doors to look at my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart.
Vocal sounds more balanced now, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's easier to go where I can stay.
And you can see because the music got less dynamic, or there's not a lot of music. That vocal came up because there's not as much music being affected here.
Yeah.
It's easier to go where I can stay the same. Not worry, I should let go of shame and blame so I can see my worth. Can I get respect and live with tenderness? Can I show my tears and dare open the doors to let go of my fears, dig up my buried anger?
I just did it there. Aha. So I found it. It's Command, and you click the little thing next to it. I knew it was one of those. I was just clicking on this thing. You got to click on the. No, this is not set up yet, but just click on that little, fader looking thing to the left, and said there was a snare verb set up. Okay.
It's easier to go where I can stay the same. Not worry, I should let go of shame and blame so I can see my worth. Can I get respect and live with tenderness? Can I show my tears and dare open the doors to let go of my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? Gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart.
I'm gonna put.
It's easier to go where I can stay the same. Not worry, I should let go of shame and blame so I can see my worth. Can I get respect and live with tenderness? Can I show my tears and dare open the doors to let go of my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? Gonna rise. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart.
So I just on the vocal bus. Say what again?
No, go ahead.
On the vocal bus, I just was kind of control that mid range a little bit. How much? 5 minutes. Okay, so another thing we can do is we can go ahead and then sidechain the reverb here to itself. Say what? So, let's see, vocal, verb. Okay, so again, I try to do this in Pro Tools. It's not as cool in Pro Tools, and Ableton just does this really, really well by sidechaining to itself. Or I could take the lead vocal here and say, let's send it to. Well, since I'm already using bus 2728 to go to this other thing, I can just say that we'll use that, right? So then I'm sending the sidechain input to the dynamics processor on the reverb channel. It is the vocal. So now I can select external input on the reverb.
It's easier to go.
And then I can compress just a certain
To go.
part of the vocal or the reverb so that when the vocal is playing, it's not going to clutter up that frequency range.
It's easier to go where I can stay the same, not worry. I should let go of shame and blame so I can see my worth. Can I get respect and live with tenderness? Can I show my tears and dare open the doors to let go of my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? Gonna rise, I'm gonna rise, I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. It's easier to go where I can stay the same, not worry. I should let go of shame and blame so I can see my worth. Can I get respect and live with tenderness? Can I show my tears and dare open the doors to let go of my.
Another thing I can show you, there's the handy dandy reverb calculator, right? So that's what this actually is. So based off the tempo, I know if I set my pre-delay to say, well, if I want it to be, how did I set this up? This is 1 divided by 64, 1 half bar, and then this is this value times this value. Yeah, there it is. Quarter note value. So what do I change this to? Change this to 2 bars. Or if I want it to last a bar, I forget how I did this. 0.04? Yeah, there we go. So if I can set my pre-delay to a certain value, 0.03. But I think I think there's an error in my calculator. Anyway, but so if I said this value was 32, right? So and I want it to last a bar, then this is how much my milliseconds would be total, and then this would be my decay time, so it would be 2.12 seconds, and then that reverb tail would last a bar. So if I made this, say, okay, well, let me do that. So 33-ish. And I think this is just a set value, isn't it? Because it's a plate. I should be able to adjust.
It's easier to go where I can stay the same, not worry. I should let go of shame and blame so I can see my worth? Can I get respect and live with tenderness? Can I show my tears and dare open the doors to let go of my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? Gonna rise, I'm gonna rise, I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. Too many lost wars. It's easier to go where I can stay the same, not worry. I should let go of shame and blame so I can see my worth. Can I get respect and live with tenderness? Can I show my tears and dare open the doors to let go of my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? Gonna rise, I'm gonna rise, I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart.
You feel how the?
Yeah.
Did you feel how that happened in your
Yeah.
chest?
Yeah.
Just kissing it a little bit.
Too many lost wars. It's easier to go where I can stay the same, not worry. I should let go of shame and blame so I can see my worth. Can I get respect and live with tenderness? Can I show my tears and dare open the doors to let go of my fears, dig
Time.
from the ashes?
Like lace artistry.
Gonna rise, I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart.
Love these speakers.
I really like how it's
Easier to go
balancing the voice because it
where
has such like
can stay the
big
same,
dynamic
not
range,
worry, I
and
should
it's
let
like
go of
equaling everything,
shame
but
and
still
blame
like
so
we're
I
feeling
can
all of
see my
the dynamics
worth.
just as it's really cool, man.
Can I
Yeah,
get
Balancing it out.
yeah.
and live with tenderness? Can I show my tears and dare open the doors to let go
Without
of my
losing the
fears,
essence
dig
of the
up my
voice.
buried
Without
anger
losing the
and
essence of the voice.
rise from the ashes. Gonna rise, I'm gonna rise.
Almost done here.
I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart.
I'm just beefing up the drums a little.
shame and blame so I can see my worth. Can I get respect and live with tenderness? Can I show my teeth and dare open the doors to let go of my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? Gonna rise, I'm gonna rise, I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart. Too many love.
All right, last thing. I know I'm over today, but it's fun to do mixing. So I'm going to sidechain this kick drum real quick to the bass guitar so I can get a little more punch out of the drums. And then, so 31, I'm going to send a bus to 31, sidechain input, 31 on the bass. Then I'm going to find where that kick is hitting around 60 hertz.
It's easier to go
And then
where I can stay the same, not worry. I should let go of shame and blame so I can see my worth. Can I get respect and live with tenderness? Can I show my teeth and dare open the doors to let go of my fears, dig up my buried anger and rise from the ashes? Gonna rise,
you feel that?
gonna rise, I'm gonna rise with only love in my heart.
It's round.
More down at the bottom of
Yeah,
your
that's-
leg. You know?
That's what I like. Yeah, it's cool.
Where I can stay the same, not worry. I should let go of shame and blame so
And that's where this attack and release time comes in handy, because then you can say, okay, how quickly do you want the kick drum to turn that frequency down? So depending on how you set it, you can get them both to hit at the same time, but then drop the bass out a little bit for the decay of the kick drum. So depending on how long your decay on your kick drum is, you set the release time to be so that when that whole punch is there, it's just going to drop that frequency out in the bass just a little bit so that they don't compete with each other. And that's where you can get that punch to come back through, because if the low end's masking on the kick and the bass, it's just not going to hit as hard. So if you make room in that bass guitar just for a little bit, and just play with the attack and release time too, because you don't want it to be too fast, or because there's a beautiful thing that happens when a kick drum and a bass guitar play in unison with each other. You get more punch, but sometimes it's too much. So adjust your attack and release time so that you can start to hear and feel a punch happen. We're blessed with monitors that we can feel that, but just start to experiment and try to train your ear to hear the difference between the attack and release times. Anyway,
It's really cool.
thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure. Falcone here live from helping our music evolve in East Nashville, Tennessee. Thank you for checking us out. Leave us a comment, give us a like, share the video if you liked it. Go check out our other ones. We have a bunch of other live streams up there for you to check out. And If you're not a member, come down, check us out. We do a lot of cool things here. And is the seminars open to non-members, or is it? Okay, cool. So we might we'll let you know next time when my seminar is going to be, and if you're here in Nashville, you can come check it out. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a great weekend and be safe. See ya.
It's easier to go where I can stay the same, not worry. I should let go of shame and blame so I can see my worth. Can I get respect?